Well, let's get going. Hello everyone, and thank you for being here at the 16th Annual MICE. I'm Dan Mazur. I'm one of the MICE organizers. This is my 16th MICE. I've been at all of them. So thank you for being here, and thank you for being at the Comics Visual Literacy panel. This is one of my favorite panels. We've done this panel 7 years in a row, and I've moderated the last 4 of them. And it's a kind of high concept panel. We can run it every year, and it's always totally different depending on the 4 artists that we have. This year we have 4 superb comics creators. The format of the panel is each artist chooses a page of their own work and a page of the work that inspired them. And we talk about them, and we talk about them in terms of comics visual literacy. What we mean by this is a way to cultivate ways of thinking and analyzing comics in a way that are very specific to the comics art form. In this case, by focusing on the unit of the comics page, because that's a unit of visual communication and expression that's unique to comics. Before I introduce the artist and get this rolling, I'd quickly like to introduce an example of what I think is a very neat bit of comic-specific terminology, one of many ways of analyzing how comics works. So I'm going to give a little mini lecture. It takes a bit of guts with Scott McCloud sitting there, but so this is called this is a way of categorizing comics page layouts, which was formulated by a very good Belgian comics writer named Benoit Peters. It's in a book whose English title is The System of Comics, which I recommend. And he talks about 4 types of page layouts, so 4 categories of page layouts. I'm only going to talk about 3 of them because the 4th is very arcane and experimental. So first is what Peters calls the conventional layout, in which all the panels on a page are the same size and shape. So this is very common, especially in the classic grid, where there are 6 panels, 8, 9 panels, or whatever. You just choose your regular layout and you tell your story in it. Although now that I look at this example, I've cheated a little bit because for some reason, the panels in this Archie page are not exactly in the grid. I don't know why, but you get the idea. The second type is called rhetorical page layout, and it means that the shapes and sizes of the pages are flexible, determined by the needs of the story as you're telling it. I would guess that this is the most common way of laying out a comics page, and it can be as simple as taking a grid and varying it, making some panels wider or taller to accommodate what it is the artist wants to show and how they want to show it. Or it can be crazy page layouts with wild panel shapes that are expressive in their own right. So that's the middle version, is just different panel shapes. And then finally there's what Peters calls a decorative page layout, which is fairly unusual, but you do see it. And this is where the artist chooses an overall page design, and it can be very ornate or very simple, often but not always involving symmetry. It's almost like you architecturally design your page as a setting for your storytelling. So I'm going to run through just a few more examples of this. Here are conventional page layouts. We have a 6-panel grid by Jack Kirby, a 9-panel grid by in The Watchmen, Dave Gibbons, thank you. And another 9-panel grid by an artist named Mazur in a graphic novel called Sky in Stereo. So as you can see, these are grids with regularly shaped panels. Here are a couple examples of rhetorical. On the left, another Kirby page, and it's just slightly rhetorical. He just replaced the middle tier of the grid with a long panel so we could have that confrontation between the hero and the big gun take place in a vertical panel. And then on the right, but you read it from right to left because it's manga, a page by Shotaro Ishinomori from the 60s, classic manga artist. And here's used a tall vertical panel so that you could show off the graceful movement of the figure and have the bowling ball down at the bottom coming out of the panel and off the page, and then returned to rectangular panels of varying sizes, mostly to accommodate the word balloons on the left. So these are still kind of related to the grid. Here is another rhetorical example by our own Raoul III from Lowriders in Space. And in this case, the panel shapes don't even merely follow the action. They're kind of part of the action, swooping and swirling through the page. But he made the shapes of the panels and their layout serve his story. Finally, a few of the decorative page layouts by three of the greats, Winsor McCay, Mobius, and George Harriman. And you can see they're all fairly symmetrical and just have a beautiful overall design that the story fits into. So, of course, like all systems, this categories of page layouts shouldn't be applied too strictly because they will dissolve before your eyes. Definitions get blurred or overlap. Pages can be a little of one and a little of the other. And of course, there are many, many other aspects besides laying out the page that go into the overall effect of a comic. But I like to show it. I think it's a nice system, and it kind of gets all our minds in the analytical in an analytical place. So this said, now I will actually introduce the artists, and then we'll go to Scott first. So I'm going to introduce them, not in the order that they will present. A-Liang Chan is a carbon-based life form. Welcome to our world. Who makes illustrations, risograph prints, comics, and zines, and exists in New York City, in scare quotes. They like work that feels close to the kind of emotions you experience when you've stayed up a little too late. A's comics include Interim 2020 from Shortbox, which made the Beat and Soul Rad's Best Comics of 2020 lists, and Far Distant 2023 from Bulkilan Press. They've also published a few other short comic zines and art books. A-Liang Chan. C.A.P. Ward is a queer black cartoonist and illustrator working on heartfelt genre stories lush with diverse characters and natural imagery. They like vibrant colors, unusual compositions, and overburdening their characters. Recent works of theirs include a short story in the Ignatz-nominated We Belong anthology, Coloring Luminous Beings by Joe Pimienta and David Arnold, and an upcoming collaboration with writer Alex Lupp. C.A.P. Ward. Cathy G. Johnson, she, they, is an award-winning cartoonist, printmaker, and educator from Providence, Rhode Island, occupied Wampanoag and Narragansett land. Her graphic novels include Jeremiah, Gorgeous, and The Breakaways. There's The Breakaways. She is a printmaker and regularly shows her silkscreen prints at juried exhibitions throughout North America. She creates work at Binch Press and Queer Archive Work, a cooperative studio centering queer and trans artists. She is also an educator and scholar. This is important, remember that. Teaching workshops throughout New England and works as an adjunct lecturer in the MFA Visual Narrative program at Boston University and the Center for Cartoon Studies. Cathy G. Scott McCloud is the award-winning author of Understanding Comics, Making Comics, Zot, and other fiction and nonfiction comics spanning 30 years. 30? Yes. He's a frequent lecturer on the power of visual communication, creator of the 24-hour comic movement, and in 2021 was inducted into the Will Eisner Awards Hall of Fame. His art and stories are available in over 30 languages and on the web at scottmccloud.com. His most recent graphic novels are The Sculptor from First Second Books and The Cartoonists Club with Raina Telgemeier from Scholastic Graphics. Scott McCloud. And now, before your eyes, we will attempt a never-before-attempted feat of switching laptops in the middle of the...
Can it be done?
Okay.
All right. Fortunately, I do not need sound, so I'm going to let the sound cord fall impotently to the floor here. Let's see if we can do this. I'm going to sit in your seat. Go for it. All right. Yep, got it. Woohoo. All right, bring out my hastily photographed notes, and let's give this a try. All right, we're each picking 2 pages, one of our own and one of somebody else's. I am saving the best for last, which means starting with my own. And here we go. Now, go back for a moment. I'm picking just 1 page, but I want to show it in context for starters. And what you're looking at, of course, it's from Understanding Comics, the book where I somehow got it right the first time and then had to struggle to get it right again. Somebody described reinventing comics, which, yes, I have some fondness for it, but it is like eating 10 pounds of potato salad. Something kind of worked with Understanding Comics. I want to talk a little bit about what I think those things are in retrospect. So this is a page, that page on the left, page 50, where I'm building up to what I call the big triangle. And the big triangle is this idea that you can abstract from, like, let's say a photograph, all the way to a simple cartoon face on one axis, but there's this other axis of abstract art that ends at the picture plane at the top. But I build it out physically, and you can actually see me doing that here in this page. So I just wanted to talk a tiny bit about that. First of all, one of the things I got right, the word-picture balance, I think this is something that it's really hard to quite get right, that synchronization of words and pictures where for every idea I just have just one word balloon and it's only saying one thing. Some of my word balloons are a little fat and ploogey here, but it's okay. They're mostly just saying one thing. Here, actual hand lettering by Bob Lappin. This was a long time ago, 1993. But I kind of like that. I like that aspect of it, that there's only one idea per panel. And that's something that I really encourage. I don't like balloons where it's like there are 5 balloons in a panel and each one is about something else. I believe that there should be one idea per panel. So that was something that kind of worked with this particular comic, this first explanatory comic that I did. I also kind of like the ultimate kind of fourth wall aspect of that awareness of the picture plane, because when I'm talking about the picture plane, I'm talking about this thing that you're actually seeing but can't see for what it is, the lines and the colors, when there are colors, and the compositions. It's creating this illusion of this person here, but there's no person, right? So I like that and the way that I'm navigating ideas. One of the coolest things that I found out recently while I'm working on this giant book about visual communication is that the same mental equipment that we have for navigating the physical world is very, very similar to the equipment that we have for navigating the abstract world. And it makes sense because we all had all this stuff in our brains already, and so we just repurposed it when we started thinking about concepts and mathematics and philosophy and all of these untangible things. We had all of these neurons that were just devoted to just walking across the landscape. Those same parts of our brain that keep track of where things are and what things are have suddenly been imported to keep track of the abstract world. And that's what you're seeing here. You're actually seeing me walk up the stairs into the abstract world. And I like that aspect of it too. And then another thing that I think kind of works here is the fact that it's, whoops, oh wait, no, go back, hold on. People doing things is interesting. This is another thing. I started kind of a genre of people with what the late cartoonist Joe Matt called the splain in hand, where you have like a narrator is like going here and just talking this big word balloon, and then there's something behind them. and they're not interacting with it. I think people are much more interested to see people actually doing things. So the fact that I'm interacting with these abstract ideas, I think is good. Physically interacting them. I liked that too. That was something that I kind of forgot when I did my subsequent books. I'm trying to figure out what went right with my first book, because things went wrong later. It didn't work so good. Anyway, so yeah, I'm working on a whole book about visual communication that's going to include stuff like that. All right, want to move on. Now for the good one. Okay, these are 2 pages from The Prince and the Dressmaker, one of my favorite graphic novels by Jen Wang. Just absolutely, coincidentally, it's pages 48 and 49. I just was showing you page 50 from Understanding Comics. Now we're going to talk about page 49 from The Prince and the Dressmaker. And but for its ahistorical errors about King Leopold of Belgium, who Gary Tyrrell has assured me is a monster, other than that, maybe not so historically accurate, I absolutely love this book. This book about this prince who's absolutely in love with dresses and likes to wear them secretly at night has become a fashion icon, and Francis, the dressmaker, that becomes his secret ally. And these pages, here we gotta get to the right notes here. First of all, I love Jen Wang's style. Something about the sort of curvilinear, like swooping, they're like eddies in a pool, the way the line work works, and the colors are very relaxing and harmonious. When I look at a lot of comics, the style, it has this little scraping noise or something in the back of my head, where the style is a little bit too style forward, and it bugs me. I don't hear the scraping noise with Jen. I love that. I love that it's just sort of silently communicating to me. The circular flow here is super important. Wait, I'm going to shout because I don't have my mic, but I got to point to things. Okay, look at this. Look how Francis is looking down towards her sewing machine, and then your eye goes up, not to the first panel on the page, but up to where the prince is brushing out the wig that he's going to wear. This is he, him pronouns. It's a thing. It was a long time ago. And then, but that flows upward to that top panel there, where you're just looking at her, looking at the sewing machine, but also at the hands, which you know she's also looking at while she's doing that. And then it moves backwards to the scissors, but then the scissors point back to her. What's going on there is fantastic, because what Jen is doing is creating that sense of meditation, of being in the moment, of time standing still. And you're just thinking about the thing. There's something very exciting about work in which the thing itself is powerful. It also prompts the sense of touch. And comics as a visual medium, one of the exciting things that comics can do is to excite the other senses and make you imagine what the other senses are doing. I also like the muted expressions in this book. Frances is not overly showy with her expressions. It's very quiet, even though there's a lot of passion underneath. I like understated characters. So my daughter and I like watching Free Run and Apothecary Diaries, because they're like kind of autistic coded and really kind of like sort of on the download, and there's a whole genre of that, and I like that Jen is really using that as well. Jen did a comic called The Dance of the Flight Attendant. Am I over time yet? Have I run out of time yet? Am I okay? I'm almost done, but I just don't want to encroach on other people's time. But she did a thing about the dance of the flight attendant, where the flight attendant is explaining what to do in case of emergency, and you realize that they're doing all of these wonderful, boom, boom, this, like that. And she understands the meditative aspect of it. I've never asked her if she has ASMR like I do, but I kind of think she probably does. And it's like there's something so wonderfully meditative about it. She cares about the thing. I mean, this is why I like The Queen's Gambit, because it really is about chess, I don't know if Jen meditates. I know I've actually seen Jen meditate once, but I don't know if she meditates regularly. She was at a Chinese restaurant, and there was some bad Chinese food, and she was nauseous and was she wound up throwing up in a potted plant, but it doesn't matter. It's in Horton Plaza in San Diego. But the thing is, there's a sense of meditation here. She is meditating upon the physical world. She's meditating on what it is to be utterly captivated by the thing you are doing. And that's magical. And she captures that in pages like this and in so many other pages from The Prince and the Dressmaker, a wonderful, wonderful comic. And I'll just end by reiterating something I try to reiterate all the time when I talk to people, and that is that what you choose to put in the panel is often far more important than how well it's drawn. And simply choosing to show people something that they've never seen in a comic book panel before is magical and very powerful. Jen does that, and the fact that she is also one of the very best draftsmen in all of comics is just a bonus. She's showing us something we've never seen before, and it's wonderful. That's it. Oh, yeah.
Do any of our panelists have anything to add to that?
Oh, right, yeah, that was the thing. I actually asked to go first because I found out when looking at the old videos that people actually talk about, everybody talks about every page, and I thought, oh my God, what am I going to do? I have all these notes. So sorry.
But yeah, if anyone would like to comment on
Texting Jen telling
either
you
of those
just aired out her dirty laundry.
She was very, she threw up in the potted plant, but she's very elegant about, I had great admiration for her. She was a very young artist at the time, but it wasn't a very good restaurant.
But yeah, if you want to comment on the page or have any perceptions on Scott's page as well.
When I forgot to zoom in on just the page, here we go. That's the key moment.
It's good, huh? Okay, well,
I think it's good, huh?
That's
It's probably
good,
going to
yeah.
be the comment. Yeah. All right, I think we're good. Wish me luck. And did you have any sound?
No.
So you can just leave the sound board out. Yeah.
Okay. So let's see.
I'm a troublemaker. I'm sorry.
It worked. It worked. Okay. Where was I? Okay. So now we have A. Liang Chan, who has chosen a page, a spread actually, by Taiyo Matsumoto from number 5. Sorry, I'm standing too far back. It says number 5 by Taiyo Matsumoto. So, do you want to talk a little bit about why you chose this spread?
Well, I haven't talked on a mic in a very long time, so but yeah, I did cheat and choose a spread. This is in the I think the first couple of pages of like the first volume of number 5. It's a guy having a bad time in a snowstorm, and I chose it because one, I think it does a lot of things that I'm very interested in, showing a lot of just kind of detailed panels. There's 2 specific things I really like about this page. One is, this is
this
manga,
reads right to left.
Yeah. So this is read right to left. So one of the things I really like about this is the style change. Obviously, Matsumoto is a extremely skilled artist and doing all this really good hatching work. But in these 2 little panels with the fish and the water, he suddenly switches to a very scribbly style. This comes up a couple of times later on in the volume where somebody's having a dream or a weird psychic sequence, and this is sort of like the first time it shows up, and I really like that indication of something else is going on. And then the second panel I really like in this is, hopefully I'm not blocking it, but the panel of the woods and the sun and the birds flying. I feel like this to me really feels like you're dying in a snowstorm in the cold. This sort of moving back and forth between the close-ups on the guy in the snow and then sort of little details that convey very like sensory moments. And to me that feels like very much like sort of, the silence and moments of nature. Maybe he's having a flashback to a warmer day, or maybe that's something that's actually in the world. It's not clear, but it's not important. And then I chose the whole spread because I think the collection of panels really flows well. It feels like you're moving back and forth between, as you're losing consciousness in the snow, moving back and forth between sort of what's actually happening, so the guy lying in the snow, and then little moments of flashbacks, or perhaps other things happening in this world. Yeah.
I love this page, the spread also. I love
Yeah.
seeing also the parallel between the page on the left and that Shotaro Ishinmori page with the girl
Yeah.
bowling, and that it seems kind of obvious to us now, but it was really an innovation of, I think, shoujo manga in the 60s, and still, it spread well beyond manga now. Everybody knows that, but I really love that. And the textures are really great.
Yeah, I really love the kind of the contrast between a lot of the super fine detail work and then the snow in the first panel. That's just basically just super graphic.
Yeah. Does anyone else have anything to add on Matsumoto?
The snow and the leaves are also this nice kind of opposite, right? With the black and the white, they
Yeah.
kind of invert.
Yeah, and then the vertical and the horizontal too.
I'll just say, and I've written about this before, but these sorts of transitions here in the States, you begin to see them now. You're starting to see it in the last couple of decades. But up until maybe about 1990, you almost never saw transitions like that. And I was really excited when I began to see that in manga when I was starting to study it, even before it was translated.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember there was a scene, a 20-page snow of people, a 20-page scene of people getting out of the snow from Lone Wolf and Cub or something like that. I remember my friend Kurt Busick was just like, they could have done that in 2 panels. But it was magical to me. This is magical. It's very beautiful.
I also really like this comic series. Number 5 is great. You should go read it. Something I really liked about this scene is one, I really love snow, but also I'm well aware that we're not built to lie in it forever. That's usually not the end result that you want. But the idea of kind of pushing back and forth between this really stark cold, but still oddly textured, because so many times in snow it's just a flat white surface or sometimes a light blue in visual communication. In this case it's very textured and in motion and clearly sapping away this person's energy. And you have these very still, peaceful moments where the texture is dropped away and it's a much brighter scene, which is another unusual thing of snow being dark, at least contextually within this page, that I thought was kind of fun.
Okay, let's take a look at what A is presenting from their own work.
Yeah, so this is a page from my comic Far Distant, published with Bulgahan Press in 2023. I've described this comic as having a weird time at work, which the better explanation is basically the protagonist works a very isolated job at a sort of comm station, and then they start having these weird dreams that begin to encroach on their reality. So this was kind of hard for me to pick because I do think in spreads, but I really wanted to try to pick one page. So this is the one page I ended up picking. Basically, the protagonist is going about their routine, and then, as one does at a boring job, eventually falling asleep. So what I kind of wanted to do with this page was contrast, sort of have some simultaneous moments of one, the very basic routine, and then also kind of let you move vertically down whichever path you want. So the dreams in this book are drawn in a different style, which is sort of you can kind of see it in the panels on the left. I had to really think about that. But I wanted to sort of show the movement of time over a day. And then also, sort of related to the spread, I really sort of just, I like quiet moments, basically, and I really wanted to just sort of feel like you're just kind of drifting through a day with this page.
Yeah, kind of like this page is a spread. And what about the vertical panel that's
Yeah,
abstract?
I did look back through my notes, and I can't remember why I did that. I think I was probably trying to have a transition between the everyday panels and then the dream panels, and then also just add some graphic interest to the page.
Yeah, it's like it's this gradation that's almost like a musical accompaniment to the rest of the page, you know, going from one tone to another, just gradually kind of accompanies both sides of the page really nicely.
It's kind of interstitial, you know, like a musical interlude between spoken word pieces in a podcast or something. It acts as an intermediary between the two realities.
Yeah.
I like that. It's interesting that too that you know like that you didn't choose to have white space, which was another option, right? It could have just been a larger gap between the
Yeah.
panels, but you have fairly regular gutters. They're fairly narrow, but they're also throughout the piece, so it pulls it together, you know, visually.
What is the protagonist's job?
They basically run a weird sci-fi comm station, like sending like a switchboard. Yeah, it's not. I like keeping things vague, so it could be whatever you want.
What's your philosophy on color?
My philosophy on color is that it's very hard.
Mine too.
Yeah. I think for this book, because it's very hard, I wanted to choose something limited palette, but I specifically wanted to keep the real world scenes different from the dream scenes. So I think the dream scenes are a lot darker and more intense. You kind of can't see it here, but they're intentionally like more saturated than the everyday scenes.
Okay, we could spend a lot more time on any of these pages, but let's see what's next. This is C.A.P's choice of an inspiring artist, Daisuke Igarashi.
So this is a page from one of his short stories in the collection Witches, The Thief of Songs. And in this story, it's basically following a young girl who's told that she's on a journey seeking connection, and that there's an island where another person has found a holistic connection to the world. And she's given very specific instructions on how to reach there, and that no matter what she experiences there, she cannot take anything off of the island. And she goes there and has like this mind-blowing experience. Pages and pages filled with like her body kind of intermingling with the landscape, and like this understanding that she's immersed in the world and connected to people and loved ones in a way that she's never experienced outside of this. And this is immediately after that happens. And this is kind of her coming down from it. And her, like, in the prior pages, she is like a teeny tiny speck on a wide landscape of just like this whole world. And here she's crumpled up again and small, and like it kind of follows her through the page, increasingly like shrinking and cut into pieces and even eventually dissolving into sand. And I just really, so much of his work involves spreads and like large, like just full page imagery. And I like that this one kind of brings this much, like it's a much more controlled narrative in this page because it's broken into these panels, and you're getting her internal monologue, which then eventually, it's in balloons up until that scene where all the tone is dropped out. And I really like the fact that like the tone disappears and it appears so much more stark than the other images, and it's like really clear how much she fears returning to her previous state of being. The fact that like it's no longer in thought bubbles as well kind of makes it feel like you've been dropped into her interiority, as opposed to like reading it on a page. You're with her in the sand. This is not an escapable moment. And also the fact that like that bottom panel is bigger than the one that follows, of like, okay, this fear is greater than anything else that's happening at that pace of time. So yeah, those are my thoughts.
One thing I think is so effective about this page is it's emotional, it's visceral, it's interior, like you say. There's no face, really. There's no eyes. It's all the expression comes from, well, the words and then the non-facial expression, expressiveness, hands, feet,
Yeah, I think that was also like a unusual move because he's known for having really like youthful and very detailed eyes and faces. So like deliberately excluding that in a time where she's like feeling all of this distress and conveying it strictly with character acting, and that also metaphorical image of like her grasping hand is quite the decision.
I think that's a really interesting observation that you made earlier about the amplitude of the owl sync panel being really not dramatically bigger, just a little bit bigger than the panel next to it, but it clearly indicates that extra emphasis. That's really cool.
I also like that the gutter disappears too. Like those,
Yeah.
it's just like a 1-2 hit of she's just gone.
Yeah, yeah,
And the words are literally sinking through the
yeah.
panel border.
Can I say something about that first panel, just very briefly?
Sure.
I was very nervous about my hands, that I wasn't drawing hands right, and the artist Vera Brosgol gave me a really good piece of advice that I'd like to share. She just said, it's not so much that they're drawing correctly, just make sure they're always doing something interesting. Look at that first panel. Those hands are doing something interesting.
Any other last thoughts on Igarashi? Let's see what C.A.P has in store for us. Ooh, talk about a spread.
So I cheated.
It's not cheating.
Okay, cool. But I would challenge you to divide this page into like one singular page. So this is from my comic Between Sand and Sea, and it follows, it's like that tiny kid in the boat. They grow up, become like a young adult, and basically their father gets remarried, moves inland to a town inland, far from the sea where they've always grown up. The sea is basically their other parent. And I basically used this spread to kind of run through like the emotional arc of the whole comic in one go. Like you see them as a youth, their bond with their father, the person their father is falling in love with, and also a potential connection of theirs for later on in the story that I won't spoil. And you kind of get it all in one spread, and I really wanted it to be a fluid story because so much of it is tied to water and the ocean and the changing of time, and that's not something that can be strictly delineated like pages. You can't, I would, again, split it in half, I dare you.
Or even tell me how many panels there are on this page.
Yeah, I was gonna say one of the things that I really like about this is that the panels kind of come in and out of the illustration, especially in this bottom corner. I just really like that part where the panel is kind of like moving into drawings of a larger scene / maybe it feels like the corner flipping up and moving into this next sequence.
Yeah, I kind of wanted it to feel like flowing ocean waves with like the curves of them leading into each other, even if it was not necessarily running aligned.
You got it.
I think in a way you're posing a question, you know, what is a page? I mean, like, I know it was just a technicality, but I mean, it's kind of an interesting question, right? What's to say this isn't a single page? It's unified. Are we really tied just to the technology of print? Aren't we looking at something that is so perfectly integrated together and so of a piece that it is essentially a page and very, you know, very beautifully composed for all that. It's you know, there's just, it's just so flowing inward on itself beautifully, and it's singular, right? I mean, there is no 2 pages here. This is one page.
Mm-hmm.
It just happened to be in a print format in which it was the one that was bigger. Yeah.
And I'll ask the same question. What is your philosophy of color in this book?
So my punchline for that is 1 color per brain cell. The very serious answer is that like I came to comics through printmaking and zines, and after doing an 8-layer screen print, I never again. So I've really simplified color palettes, and I knew that it was going to be a water-based thing, and that would be most legible with a cool palette. And there's some underwater scenes that happen later. Again, no spoilers. But I needed the characters to be able to contrast without getting lost with luminosity. So like picking a warm color palette of like reddy pink orange to contrast with the blues gave me a lot of wiggle room as to what I could get away with.
So it's two colors throughout the whole story. Two colors, black and white.
Yeah, I mean, even the line works blue.
There is no black.
Yeah, I'm kind of a chicken about inking, and if I can make it a color, then it doesn't feel as permanent as black, which is not how that works, but take that up with my brain.
I see what you're saying, though. It's really nice to see it. This one, large, becomes like a mural also, which is really nice. You could see this on a wall.
Yeah, you could print it at this size.
Yeah.
It wouldn't feel out of place. You know, easy reader.
Okay. Any last thoughts before we move on to what Cathy has? Something unusual.
It's not that unusual. Can I stand?
It's a little bit unusual. Yeah. Do you want to do the punching?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Well, you
Okay.
can use this one.
Do you want to use this one?
Well, sure.
Okay. Hi, everyone. So my name is Cathy G. Johnson, and I'm a cartoonist, and also I'm a comics educator. When Dan asked me to be part of this panel, I was just finishing putting together this anthology, which is titled Words and Pictures. This book is the culmination of a year-long collaboration of my own comic art education program called Comic Art Ed, and the nonprofit Write Rhode Island, whose mission is to promote and celebrate the voices of Rhode Island's student writers. For this collaboration, in 2025, I taught teen comics workshops at libraries and schools throughout the state and collected my students' final comic stories to print into the statewide anthology. Rhode Island, the state below this one. So anyway, Dan asked me to be on this panel, and I was working on this, and this is pretty much all I could think about. And since I really believe in taking children's art very seriously, I wanted to present a comic from this collection to you all as a genuine piece of text for analyzing. All right, so here I present Stranded by K, name redacted, who is an 8th grader who is in one of my comics classes. So this is the cover of her story, and I'm going to read you her whole story, which is only 2 pages long, so don't stress. Okay. Panel 1, we have people in seats. Panel 2, ugh, I can't believe my mom invited you. Thought bubble, why am I here? Panel 3, listen, passengers, we will be crash landing somewhere or whatever, don't really care. Huh? What? I can't die. Seriously? Panel 4, the plane crashes and stuff. Smiley face. Panel 5, why me? And panel 6, a few minutes later. How convenient. Let's build. I guess it's okay. Page 2. They build shelter. I'm sleeping there. Looks great. Panel 2. Find anything? Yes. Rummage, rummage, rummage. Question mark, question mark, question mark. Bat? Cat? Water? Chips? Hey, what's that? My pet. So here we have a creature coming from the side. Panel 4. 3 days later. Guys, I got the internet. Finally. Call for help. Panel 5. A plane comes and helps them. And panel 6, we have a happy ending with all 3 characters. Sis, hey, dad, hey, hun, hey, hi. The end of Stranded. The end of Stranded by K. Okay, so now we're going to try to break it down a little bit here. Back to the cover. We now know a few things. We know why they are stranded. There's a plane crash. We know that there are no other survivors, as we can see a hand in the water reaching for that. And then we also see the pet. This is the one of the 2 times we see the pet. All right, here we have panel 1. As we break down for the first page, we're going to go panel by panel. We're reminded that this is a 12-year-old who is mostly drawing things that she has not tried to draw before. These plane seats, in my opinion, are incredible. So no outside of the plane, just jumping straight into the interior. So if you think about a kid's experience of a plane, they walk through a tunnel, and then you're on the plane. You don't really see the outside of the plane very much when you're flying on a plane, right? So she's drawing it from her own perspective and her own experience. So here, panel 2, we learn another important theme of the story. There are 3 main characters, and the one without glasses hates the one with glasses. But for some reason, her mother invited her on the trip. And there's also Ponytail Girl. I don't know if Ponytail Girl is another girl or mother. I believe it's another girl. I think it's 3 teens. So this is the story about bullying, which is another familiar theme for 12-year-olds. Right. So, panel 3. And then more drama, right? Not only is she going on a vacation with someone that she hates, someone with glasses, but the plane is going down. This, of course, is a fascinating line. Whatever, don't really care. So, is it the pilot who doesn't care because he's going down? Or, as I'd argue, are we getting the metatextual word of the author herself saying, ugh, I don't really care what a pilot would actually be saying here. It doesn't matter to my story. Who cares? Ponytail Girl wakes up from her slumber. The bully cries, I can't die, while the glasses girl says, seriously? I was forced to go on vacation with my bully, and now we're also gonna die? Can't catch a break. All right. Then here is the piece de resistance. The plane crashes and stuffed smiley face. So whose smile is this? Is it the author cheekily smiling at her creation? Or is she cheekily smiling at me, her teacher, thinking I'd say, come on now, you actually have to draw a plane in a plane crash story. Little does she know that I'd never say that. I'm obviously obsessed with the choices that kids make without adult intervention in their comic book stories. So here we have our 3 girls, the bully, glasses girl, and the ponytail girl who's upside down. We realize quickly that there are no other survivors of this crash. The story has taken the classic bully has to learn to get along with her victim story to a whole new level. Death and destruction. The tension has gotten so much higher than we could have ever imagined. And this is the last panel that we're going to be overanalyzing. How convenient, says the glasses girl, calling out the storytelling of the author herself. I'd argue that there would be debris in a plane wreck. I don't think it's too overly convenient to the story, but it's also a funny joke. Another thing that I want to point out in these last 2 panels that I think is a choice of angle of the beach environment. The water is on the left, and the forest is on the right. Rhode Island kids grow up going to the beach, and when you experience a beach, usually you're standing on a beach and looking down. It's an unexpected perspective, which creates discomfort too for its viewers. It's another example of the author putting her own experience into a fictional story. And then we have this page again, where our characters build shelter, rummage through the luggage of their fellow deceased passengers, which we see starkly that when they were picked up by another plane to help them, and all the other seats are empty. We are served a happy ending, our characters returning home, but we are left wondering, did the bully girl and glasses girl become friends? We may never know. All right. So, for my own pages, I am very excited to announce that this is my new book. I figured I would just announce my new book. This panel. I got permission, I promise. So it's coming from Abrams next year. It's inspired by my educational work with young people. It's titled Fox River Comics Camp, which is a hybrid narrative and activities graphic novel following 5 students as they go through a 5-day comics workshop at a local library. It sounds familiar, right? It's for ages 6 to 10, and it's very fun and goofy, and it's completely inspired by my own students from these comic art ed workshops. So here are my pages. So on these pages, we see the first introduction of Joey, who is a young possum. When they first meet Puma, the comics teacher at Fox River Library. The book is purposely drawn in a more simplified style than my previous works to get children engaged in the work and feel represented. It was important to me to draw in a book in the style that I actually drew when I was with kids in their classes. And they're all animals, because in my classes, if you've ever drawn with kids, they like to draw animals. I didn't want to have too many panels to overwhelm young readers. And the backgrounds are also very basic to keep it accessible and breezy. So those are all my notes. They kept holding up a warning. So these are my pages, and then of course, we have Kay's pages. And I do want to give my fellow panelists some time to look at these fantastic pages. Thank you very much, thank you.
I have just one question. What was the assignment?
Make a comic!
Okay.
Another thing that I like here is that clearly this is a Xerox page 6-panel sort of layout. I don't like to give them perfect drawn panels because anything perfect is intimidating. So like I try to make it really just loose and comfortable for them. And then she went home and just traced the panels onto her own paper. And she was trying to make them thick. So she kind of went back and forth to try to thicken them to match this one. Which I thought is a nice touch.
I love how she split the last panel into 3 also. That's really fun.
Yes, it is like, I don't want to have to do a whole nother page. Let me just.
No. But I really wonder about the panel that's tilted over. When I was putting this into the slide, I thought, did I get this wrong somehow?
Yeah. Well, they just crashed in a plane, Dan. They're
Okay. Yeah, very disorienting.
That one's my favorite. It makes perfect sense. They're just tumbled.
Yep.
Well, first of all, I love that you chose this. It's wonderful. And you know, Raina and I have been trying to encourage kids to make their own, like what we call Quanto comics, which are big sloppy comics, because that's what I did as a kid. And one thing that I remember from doing those like really goofy, dumb comics is that when you make a mistake, when you kind of screw up, or you do one of these like, I don't know how to draw a car, so I'm just putting a picture of a car, whatever, you know, or you compress something, or you have a typo, you fall in love with them. You fall in love with them because as a kid, it's just like, I know I can't draw, I'm a kid. And isn't that funny? Because it's like kind of going toe-to-toe with the big professional things, and you know it's just like completely outmatched by that, but it also kind of stands in opposition to it, and it's kind of mocking the perfectly coherent entertainment that the kids get fed, and they're like, no, this is ours, and we're just a bunch of dumb kids. And look at this. Look, I can't even draw an escalator. It's just and like the more they look at it, the more they love what they did wrong. They know it. They see it. They're not unaware of the things that they failed to do. They just have learned to fall in love with them.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I called out the few times that she's like, I don't really care. Like she just wrote, I don't care, right directly in it.
I don't really know how to deal with this because we also have we also have pages by Cathy, and they're also great. And I love that they truly are inspired by the pages that you showed as inspiring. They're wonderful. I love the books and the bookshelf.
I like Puma's mouth, just like the very big open mouth cat. Like I can hear the noise coming out of that creature. It's great. Very
I
cute.
also, just like C.A.P, I also am a printmaker. And so like the same pink inside of Puma's mouth is also the pink of the hands of the possums and the pink of the nose. And it's also the highlight color in the red of the shirt. So like I have a very limited palette also with this because it's a printmaker's brain.
You do one 8-layer print.
I like the idea of this as this distant descendant of Ladex Spiegelman. And like the possum has some Spiegelman mousy sort of like things that I'm just like, oh, is there like some little tiny part of you that has this genetic memory of reading mouse or something?
I mean, I actually originally Joey had like very round ears, and I was like, this is getting kind of Mickey. That's why I ended up with square ears, just to kind of move away from that.
You want to go Disney or Holocaust?
It was important to me while I was making this is all the children are North American animals, because I feel like we have a habit of doing like zebras and lions and that's like a colonialist sort of take. So I wanted to make sure that we were doing only North American animals. And so technically I said it should be opossum. A possum is Australian, opossum is North American.
Thank you. Yeah, that's true.
Okay, we have, I think let's do one question.
Better be a good one.
Because we actually have one other little extra feature to this panel. It's going to be a surprise, so don't leave. Does anyone have a question for anybody? There's so much. What could you possibly ask? Let that guy ask a question.
Principally for Scott McCloud, but if anyone else would want to jump in, that would be interesting. The first book of yours that I read was Reinventing Comics, and I liked it.
Aw, thank you.
What is your favorite thing about Reinventing Comics?
Oh.
Positive. What did work?
Yeah, I like the part where I got to the second half and I was writing about something that I really wanted to write about instead of something that I sort of was kind of late to get around to writing about. And I still believe in the possibilities for comics in which like you're just in an unlimited space. You know, I still believe in that stuff. I just kind of banged my head against the wall for a really long time. Much of the message of that book I do believe in. I'm just very judgmental about reinventing because I forgot everything that made understanding comics a good read. I forgot how to make a good comic, and it's just hard to read. It's dense. Literally years after I made Reinventing Comics, people would come up to me, tell me how much they loved understanding comics, and then they would get to Reinventing and they would kind of pause for a moment and tell me, I'm still working on it. And I knew exactly what they meant. So it was a rhetorical thing, but I'm glad I did it because I think just falling flat on your ass sometimes is good and it's healthy. And I had some messianic tendencies, you know, that probably had to be blunted a little anyway. It was good for me. It's good. I believe in failure. And Raina and I just got to tell several 100,000 11 and 12-year-olds that failure is good. And that felt really, really good. You have to fail once in a while.
Thank you.
Okay, real quick. Scott will be signing in the signing area immediately following this this panel. There's some set up with tickets, time tickets and stuff, so, but whatever. And then Dave has a special announcement. Everybody stay where you are.
Hi, I'm A. David Lewis, and I have the honor of, Scott, don't go anywhere, my kid needs a signature too. I have the honor of being the Boston Comic Arts Foundation's grant coordinator. I get to oversee things like the Underground Visionary Award. The first one was given last year to Dennis Kitchen in honor of his artistry and his dedication and his efforts in raising new generations of comics artists. And it's my special privilege to award this year's Underground Visionary Award to Cathy Johnson for Here's the great news, the two pieces of good news. The first is we had so many people to choose from. We have some wonderful, talented, and dedicated people all throughout New England and Massachusetts. This year, we wanted to give it to Cathy for not just her artistry and skill, but for her work as an educator, for her work as an activist, for just her work as a human being. So, Cathy, it is, with cash coming in the mail, it is my pleasure to present this Dennis Kitchen implement as your award. Good night.
I just read a 5-page speech. I'm good. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm very grateful. I did know this was coming. It was a surprise to these folks. I knew. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I didn't plan on this part. Thank you.
That was fun. I guess it's over now. Thank you, everybody. Go get signed by Scott McCloud and go back and we have about an hour left. So also, all these artists, the 3 artists will be at their tables, run, buy books.